In my video earlier today, I talked about the relationship between AMD and NIO. So this has been hyped up the last couple of days today. It has a new plot twist about actually NIO denying this kind of partnership. But if you want to watch it, check it here. This video instead will be not so much about the AMD and NIO partnership, but more give you a bit of a context of where NIO is going, why they need processing power, where this AMD deal kind of sits in, let's say the timeline and strategy of NIO. And so, well, this might be more for the nerds. I don't know, like how many of the audience I will be losing. Actually, I noticed that there are just a few comments recently in the video. So maybe let me know if you guys are still alive. What is your opinion? Or are you just zombies or bots watching nowadays? Anyways, I would always appreciate also a like. And then let's jump into the content. So this AMD and NIO deal is, of course, about a chip supply cooperation here. And to give you a bit of a picture, this is how the actual hardware might be looking like. So these are racks for a server system in which there is an AMD chipset in, so a CPU. At this time it's about the EPIC chip, and there might be also a GPU in there, so a graphic processing unit, and all of this is used for different applications where processing power is needed. So in this NIO AMD explainer video, they talk about crash tests, about heat simulations, and things that are needed to actually develop cars. But the bigger thing, and that's where I'm going in this video, is actually, I think, more about autonomous driving. And this maybe brings me to Tesla now, because they have really outlined a bit more about their strategy. So basically, Tesla has built their own Dojo, so-called computer, supercomputer even. It's one of the fastest computers in the world. They have unveiled actually their own silicon, so their own processor, which they are developing by themselves, which is meeting many efficiency increases and things like that. But this is not the topic of this video. The thing is rather to understand that nowadays those EV companies that have ambitions in the area of autonomous driving, like Tesla, like NIO, what they need is strong computers and processing power to process all of the data that are gathering on the streets. All of this input, in case of NIO, it's now has reached 5 billion kilometers, of which the car is constantly gathering information from the sensors, from the cameras. And then I spoke a couple of times about Renjao Singh, who is the lead of autonomous driving in NIO's case, who is writing all of those smart algorithms and using some of these applications from machine learning and processing and neural networks and nerdy stuff like this in order to process the input that is gathered from the environment and actually, basically helping the car to think and to act on the street and being able to finally at some point driving autonomously. And more on a abstract level here, on the storage side, you will get all of this data that is being stored, and then you need something like a CPU and also later on in the process a GPU to actually all processing that. And this is where Tesla is coming basically up with their own silicon and processing power, making this way more efficient. But currently, Tesla is also still using Nvidia chips in their own supercomputer unit, which they have operational right now. But of course, they're looking to transfer this later on to their own more powerful Dojo supercomputer. And so the analogy here to Tesla would be that NIO is now purchasing those AMD chips that can be used for different application cases. But in the case of autonomous driving, maybe similar to what Tesla has now with their Nvidia powered supercomputer units. And maybe that's also just speculation from my side here, is that NIO is building similar capabilities with AMD chips there. And in this respect, this is where this AMD NIO cooperation is coming in. However, NIO is also, I think, working on something else, maybe similar to Tesla's Project Dojo, their own silicon and their own chip. And this can actually be seen through NIO Capital here, which is invested in a company called Inbao. And what this company is working on is a chip that's called a DPU. So that is not a CPU, not a GPU, so a new type of processor. And if you want to dive deeper into that, you can check out Nvidia's blog post here that's called "What is a DPU?" And in this article, and also worth watching YouTube video, they're basically outlining that a DPU is a new class of a programmable processor, and it's a system that combines three aspects: an industry standard high performance software programmable multi-core CPU, a high-performance network interface, and a rich set of flexible programmable acceleration engines that offload and improve applications performance for AI and machine learning, among other things. Now, of course, it's very technical, but all you need to know is that Nvidia basically in 2021 announced this kind of a three-core strategy between GPU, CPU, and DPU. So using these different type of chipsets and in combination in order to power those large applications in different kind of fields, frankly, but particularly also in the area of processing for autonomous driving. And so this NIO investment here is creating their own DPU system, and basically NIO is not alone invested in that. They have very, very famous investors, along with the biggest one actually being Tencent and Sequoia Capital, which is also a very famous venture capital firm. And this is an overall new trend in China, I would say. There's an interesting 36KR article about this whole movement of DPU development in China. Most of the biggest tech names are involved in something like this, like Tencent, Alibaba. For example, this is another Baidu-backed company doing the same thing here, also working on a DPU in China. And so what I think is that NIO is involved here is basically, with this investment, making sure that they are able to source these chips once they are available in these systems, and having possibly something similar to Tesla's Dojo on their own supercomputer with, let's say, a performance optimized compute system that is way better than what is currently available on the market. I think the AMD chips, if at all, will only play a minor part in this thing. It's also possible that at some point, if these startups like this one where NIO is invested in come out with their own solution and this is feasible and scalable, that at this point NIO could move on to such kind of self-developed solutions. And the current systems that are based on, for example, now this AMD EPYC chip would no longer be the main thing to compute all of the real-world data gathered by NIO cars, and maybe the autonomous driving algorithms would rather run on something like this self-developed here. This might be a possibility in the future. Of course, that's a lot of ifs and when, because this is all startup stage, this is venture capital stage, but I just want to give you this broader context here that it seems to me like this current purchase of AMD chips is something rather normal and not really noteworthy in the terms of partnership or something special that others are not doing. What I think is rather the interesting part here is how this is actually part of a longer strategy of NIO, from scaling something like they are now purchasing from other companies like AMD to actually a rather self-developed system here, maybe of course also in cooperation with the biggest companies like Tencent, which is also a NIO investor, and maybe even many other companies in China will actually benefit from those outcomes at some point in time, because this is also usually how it works in China. Big investment and gathering by a couple of industry players, and then a couple of companies can actually make use of the outcomes of this technology. Anyways, this is also a lot of speculation, so don't take it for granted. This is just what I'm seeing out there, and I just want to share it with the world. Let me know if you possibly have a much better understanding than I have. I just want to say that this is, to me, the much more noteworthy news here, or the scope that I'm watching. And then I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.